Madam, there will be 18 plus content here, and if you want to watch the video without censorship, you can subscribe to Boosty or Patreon. I will also post some of the art on Facebook so you can watch there. Please comment on how you find the narration overall. Now, let's proceed with retelling. The story begins with a boy setting off somewhere with his uncle. He was talking about the immense wealth of General Quack and how he wouldn't go hungry anymore. With tears in his eyes, the child asked his uncle if he would ever see his mother again. The uncle replied that when he grew up, he would be given tasks outside the house, and then he would have the opportunity to visit her. After a long journey, they finally reached their destination. The man brought the child to General Quack's residence and handed a document to the servants, stating that it was a written certificate for this boy. The servant read that the boy's name was Dolls. The mistress of the house and the general's wife were also present, and she ordered her servant to call other workers to bathe and dress the child. In addition, as payment for the boy, she ordered that a pig be given. Suddenly, a little girl ran up and asked her mother about a drawing. She looked at the boy standing nearby, and he quickly bowed and introduced himself. In response, she introduced herself as well and ran into the house. After some time, she asked her mother about him, and the woman inquired if she didn't like him. He explained that he was just a servant she had bought. She explained that for starters, she would appoint him as her servant until he could handle heavier work. In the meantime, after washing up, the young hero inspected his new clothes, noting that the materials were very good. Suddenly, a door opened, and some girl screamed upon seeing him naked. The boy quickly dressed and asked if he was the new servant. She introduced herself as Yurim and explained that since he was still too young, he would have to work as a servant for Soha. The girl added that Soha was the second daughter of the general, and that usually, noble children were mean and mischievous, but she was kind and sweet. Therefore, he is very lucky that he will have her services. After a while, Dolls played with Yurim and another child. The girl laughed at him, saying that he would never catch up with her, and the boy replied that he would catch her. Suddenly, the guys noticed Soha and quickly bowed and greeted her. But to the surprise of the little lady, Dolls attacked her, shouting that he couldn't be deceived. Then she grabbed him, and judging by the body, she thought it was Yurim. When the child removed the blindfold from his eyes, he was shocked to see Soha in his arms. The hero abruptly fell to his knees and apologized for his rudeness. He explained that he accidentally touched her body and begged for mercy. The hostess replied that there was nothing to apologize for and asked him to get up. She noted that they were just playing, so everything was fine. After that, the lady told Yurim that they looked cheerful, and she came up and asked if he wanted to play with them. However, their elders could see them here, so she suggested a better place. After some time, everyone was playing together in the hayloft. Two of the kids teased the hero, but then he managed to catch Soha. It was her turn to catch, but she was too slow compared to the others. Dolls saw the hostess struggling to catch up with them and deliberately got caught by her. After a while, he was called by the mistress. She wanted to know if everything was okay or if something was inconveniencing him. The boy replied that everything was fine. He liked everything. She patted him on the head, saying that she had heard that the children were very sad to be separated from their mother and was proud that he was coping well with this. The mistress told him to come to her for any questions and to take care of her daughter. Dolls smiled happily and agreed. At night, an army was moving towards the residence. A servant noticed him and announced that the general had returned. All the slaves gathered to pay their respects to the master and thanked him for protecting the country. The hero thought, so, this is General How, the one who can catch criminals with his bare hands. Then he wondered who the young man next to him was. The general shouted that they had come a long way and were hungry, so let's have a feast. All the servants in the house began to prepare to set the table. The main servant told Dolls to prepare a general for his room, as he liked to do something with his wife before going to the main feast. The guy had to clean up the lighting, put this stuff on the candlestick, and take this table. He did everything that was required and was about to leave the room, but to his surprise, he saw that the general had come with his wife in his arms. Dolls hid and heard when the lady said that he should be hungry. Maybe he should eat first, but the man replied that he had not seen his wife for a long time, so he did not need food. He started drinking and told her to undress, wanting to see her naked body as soon as possible. The guy is looking at all this through a small hole that somehow was just under his eye. Apparently, he's not the first one to peek here. In parallel, the general said that he felt very lonely without such a lovely wife. Suddenly, the woman screamed and her husband grabbed her and said, "Let's make a son today." Meanwhile, the soldiers outside were also enjoying their rest. They were discussing some new general who used to be a slave but was able to rise. His name was Chon and he was constantly bothering our General Quack. He seemed to be trying to restrain himself and obey the orders of his superiors. Then the man who had been next to the quack before noticed Sakai and Yurim, who were looking for a hero. The little lady was worried that she couldn't find him anywhere. They greeted the soldier and asked how their holiday was going. Everyone was happy to see the sake and said that every time they saw it, their mood rose, and soon it would rise, and not only it. In general, from this conversation, we found out that this guy's name is Yusen. Meanwhile, Doll still continued to hide, listening to all these moans and screams, unable to believe that this woman who always looks elegant and well-mannered, a gentle lady caring for a servant like him, makes all these sounds. And he wondered what happened after she took off her clothes and why she was behaving like that. He spied, and at that moment the general was spanking the woman and doing everything. The boy watched all this and thought, is this really what they do when they reach adulthood? Madam looks as if she is in pain, but he realizes that this is not so. Dolls again heard the man praising her beautiful body, and suddenly noticed the sword. He realized that if he was noticed, he could be killed. At that moment, the girls went to different places in search of the hero. And so the little lady got to the hayloft where they had been playing earlier, and saw that the door was open. She thought that maybe Dolls was inside, and without hesitation entered. But to her surprise, she found a wolf there. He was about to attack her, but Yusen arrived in time and killed the beast. He asked Sokka if she was all right. She answered yes, and thanked him for saving her. The hero continued to observe what was happening and saw how his mistress was having fun. After he heard the general's words that she was obliged to give birth to his son, he entered as much as possible, from which she rested against the partition. After scaring the boy, he became worried and either tried to get out or wanted to hold on, but in the end, a man noticed his hand. Without hesitation, he quickly drew his sword and attacked. Blood splattered. The woman screamed, and looking behind the partition of the gentleman found there a trembling but fortunately alive boy. Madam explained that this was a servant they had recently acquired. The boy apologized and said that he wanted to leave after the redying room, but then they suddenly appeared and he was scared. The wife of the general, wiping the blood from the lion of Dolls, asked her husband to forgive him because he was still a child. General Quack laughed and said that the boy saw a good show. Then Yusen came to the screams. The general came out and explained that everything was fine and told the servant to take care of the boy. After a while, the hero was resting in his room and suddenly burst into tears. The girls ran to him as soon as they found out about the injury. He explained that everything was fine. He was given medicine and everything would heal soon. Sokka began to cry, apologizing for her father. Dolls reassured her, saying that she should not cry because of him. At that moment, Yusen was standing on the street and heard everything. Suddenly, he noticed that someone was shooting a bow and froze the arrow without much effort. Why did he rush to the attacker to grab him? But when he got to the roof, he found no one there. Suddenly, someone appeared from below and attacked him, but Yusen skillfully blocked the attack. The attacker continued to attack, and the guy deftly dodged each attack. At some point, he got tired of it and hit her on the head with a sword. Having said it all over, she has just been killed. The girl, whose name was Surim, took off her disguise and said that she ordered him to draw his sword. Yusen replied that it could harm her, so he could not use weapons against her. Surim exclaimed that if he didn't take her seriously, she wouldn't get any better, and ordered him to draw his weapon. The young man did what was required of him and knocked out her blade with one blow. And the disappointed girl replied that the next time they collided again, she would force him to fight seriously. A few days later, Dolls and another servant boy were cleaning in the backyard. They saw a general who announced that today was a good day for hunting. Suddenly, the same girl came running to her father and asked to join him, since now she knew how to ride a horse and shoot a bow. The boy told the hero that she was the eldest daughter of the general of the Surim. He also whispered that she had a short temper, so you need to be careful with her. Surim reminded her father that he promised to take her hunting when she mastered horseback riding, so she deserved to go with her. Immediately after, the mother came running and objected that hunting was not for her. The general laughed and exclaimed what a father and daughter are, so let's go hunting together. Madam tried to reason with him, saying that he should have stopped the girl and not indulged her. Quack replied that if she was so worried, then let her go hunting with them. As a result, Surin was driving ahead and her mother asked her to slow down because it was dangerous. In the evening they returned from hunting and the girl boasted about how she had caught a big boar herself, and the general proudly announced that today they would eat the beast that his daughter had shot. Madam was already tired of following her around all day, and ordered the maid to prepare a bath. After a while, the maid tells the hero that everyone is busy preparing for the feast, so he needs to bring hot water. Then she gives him rose petals and tells him to add them when the bath is full. The kid slowly started carrying water as it was too heavy for him. Soon he still managed to fill the tub. Lowering the rose petals, he thought what it would be like to swim in it. After looking around, Dulce decided that no one would notice if he took a quick dip. After taking off his clothes and plunging into the bath, fatigue fell on him, and he slowly began to fall asleep. After a while, the mistress came and asked the maid if everything was ready. She replied that yes, Dulce had prepared a bath, She entered the house and they said that he is still a child and it must be very tiring. Suddenly the hero woke up hearing her voice and saw that she was coming. He quickly dived under the water while the maid was putting tea on, and after she left, he began to hide under the tray. Soon the woman began to undress slowly and climb into the tub. Well, that's it today. If you want to see the sequel, put likes and write comments. I will definitely take it off and subscribe to Facebook, Boosty, and Patreon. Thanks a lot for watching everyone so far.